This show powered by AgriGold for Central Illinois, your AgriGold reps Brett Lahr. He is your AgriGold reps for Central Illinois. Today's edition of Back Roads of Illinois. We were Central Illinois agriculture source, and in the Midwest alongside in Central Illinois agriculture, we were glad you're here on a Tuesday election day. We were talking about the commodities markets on today's program with Greg McBride for Allendale Inc. out of McHenry. We were talking about the demand for export of soybean in China for next few months until the new administration. We were talking about that with Greg McBride on today's program. Don't forget to vote on today. Otherwise, this time is for your agricultural news and markets update sponsored by AgriGold for Central Illinois. Get the most for every acre with AgriGold. Today is an election day on the country. We are watching for Pennsylvania. It's pretty close to call between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania. However, in Iowa is a blue state. The cattle demand is pretty tight than previously years, but we will see on this holiday season coming up with Christmas. This will be a big world agricultural supply and demand estimate report on Friday morning at 11 Central Time from the Department of Agricultural. We were talking with Greg McBride for Allendale Incorporated. This is your opening numbers of the commodity markets from Kyle Bumstead from Allendale Inc. Corn futures are up to 4 to 8 cents at the quarter. Soybean futures are up for once again at 8 to 7 cents. Wheat futures are up to 5 to 10 cents at the half. This is your livestock markets update sponsored by Kyle Bumstead from Allendale Incorporated. Cattle futures are up for this morning at 5 to 6 cents at the quarter. Feeder cattle are down at 4 to 6 cents at the half. Lean hogs are down at 3 to 5 cents. Crude oil are up to 9 to 5 cents per barrel. Dow Jones are up to 8 points. Get the most for every acre with AgriGold seeds for your field. You can visit our website at agrigold.com or call your local retail dealer today. AgriGold choose seeds for Central Illinois. No. We were talking about the commodities markets on today's program with Greg McBride for Allendale Inc. out of McHenry. How are you today?
I'm very good, Caesar. How are you? Yeah, it offers a lot of
Let's start with our
news here.
conversation about the election for today on tonight. What is your takes on the soybean demand for export on next few months?
Well, I think there's twofold here when it comes to soybeans. You've got the situation if Donald Trump is elected. He's already said that he will impose or add on to tariffs that were existing from when he was president before. He will add on to those for all trade partners, 20, 30%, whatever it is. That offers the problem of starting another trade war, seeing that demand for U.S. beans get cut pretty substantially. Could result in anywhere from 50 cents to maybe even a dollar's worth of pain in that soybean market. But the other thing to think about is not necessarily, just that. If he doesn't get elected, if he, or if he decides to go a different route, that's fine. The problem that you also have is that you're coming off of a big production here in the United States, and you're looking at increasing world ending stocks with a large and record production out of South America. So with the no major weather issues right now, you're looking at about 160 to 170 million tons produced out of Brazil, 50, maybe 55 million tons out of Argentina. So overall, a record production out of South America. And that's going to be the biggest issue for us as we move forward, is that with that big production, it also is putting their soybeans, especially in Brazil, at a better price than the United States, and that's what's killing some of our demand at this point. Is just that we can't compete from a dollar's standpoint, apples to apples. We're just too expensive.
Did you hear the news from the beans complex because of the Iowa polls on Sunday evening?
No, I missed that, but I imagine a lot of people are watching with great interest. A lot of the conversations that I've had with producers revolving the election is, if there is a trade war, they at least know that something similar will probably happen to the last time that we saw a trade war in 18 and 19, where there will be checks that are cut, or some sort of subsidies additional to what they already get to help kind of smooth out that transition while we wait for trade deals to come in.
Greg, could you tell our listeners what is the yields in northern Illinois near Rockford?
Yeah, yields were very good this year. There were some disappointing yields that we saw up here in north central Illinois. Some of that obviously from essentially a dry period after the first week in August and through into the end of harvest here. It seems like we've gotten more rain in the last 3 days than we did for the previous 3 months. So the yields probably coming in, we're going to say maybe in the 60, 62 area. There were some obviously substantially higher, some more disappointing ones, but I think the average in our area.
Do you have some concerns about it with the cash market in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem that we have, and this is gonna go for the entire country, but the biggest problem we have, especially here in the Midwest, is with a big crop. The producers know that they don't, or not the producers, but the elevators know that they don't have to pay up. They can go and find the next producer down the road to fill up their bins if they need it. These guys don't have to pay up, and that's why we don't see major improvements in multiple big crop years like we've seen strung together here in the Midwest.
Let's go with livestock markets. How is the cattle markets and hogs markets for today's close with the stock market?
I would say that today's cattle market was a little disappointing. When you look at the Dow, the S&P, the Nasdaq having a strong day the way that it did with the election, to finish the December cattle down 30 cents, to see the February and deferreds up very slightly, feeder cattle either side of unchanged, really not doing a whole heck of a lot. It feels like they took the day off waiting to see what's going to happen. And if you look at what we did in the the Dow and the stock market yesterday, it was basically a reverse of what we saw today. So I think we're just kind of biding our time, waiting to see what happens with this election before we step out to the next. But if you look at the overall picture on the chart for the cattle, you've seen box beef numbers starting to fade after some very strong movement over the last few weeks and couple of months here. And this is what's a little bit concerning, is now the technicals have started to look a little bit negative, and that's something to be a little bit cautious of. I don't think it necessarily means the market's ready to fall completely apart, but it is something to be a little bit concerned with after we've seen these higher prices for a sustained amount of time.
How is the cattle cash trend for right now?
It's steady to just a touch higher. We're seeing some bids in the upper 180s, low 190s, and it's been kind of holding a nice, very mild uptrend for a while here. The thing I would be more concerned about is the box beef numbers starting to fade, and that could be the precursor to a correction.
Do you have any final thoughts or recap of our conversation?
Yeah, I think what we're really looking for is as we come into this election, and we've got a ton of information coming into this week. You've got the election today, you've got the FOMC meeting tomorrow and Thursday, then you've got a USDA report on Friday, and there's a lot of concerns about what do we do next. I think what we're going to see is a lot of back and forth range type trading in the grains, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see maybe some issues with the economy, and maybe the stocks start to back off, maybe we start to see unemployment creep in, or something like that. That could be a precursor to seeing some of these meat levels start to back off, and that'll pull the cattle with it. The hog side of things, we've seen strong cash hogs, strong cash pork, and you saw them step back today. That could be also looking at just maybe the start of a correction in what's been a very good uptrend for that hog market.
Where people can find you for your consulting services in the Midwest.
Yeah, they can call us at 800-2-MARKET. That's 800-262-7538.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Caesar.
That's Greg McBride for Allendale Inc. on Back Roads of Illinois. January feeder cattle $0.075, closing $242.350. February live cattle $+ 0.25, closing $185.950. February lean hogs $0.825, closing $1.84.500. March corn +2 single quote 0, closing at $4.32 single quote 0. January soybeans +4 single quote 4, closing at $10.01 single quote 6. March Chicago wheat +3 single quote 5, closing at $5.91 single quote 0. March KC wheat +5 single quote 2, closing at $5.89 single quote 0. Closing quotes provided by Kyle Bumstead Branch Office Manager Erickson, Nebraska 308-708-7340. Allendale Incorporated. The Rich. Thanks to our friends from Allendale for bringing the final numbers of trade. Thanks to Greg McBride on today's program with us. We're running out of time on our show, but you can listen to our show on YouTube. And whenever you get your podcast, The Spin Back Roads of Illinois. I am Cesar Delgado. Have a great day.